Hello everyone, hello everybody. This is Mita, your astrology journalist, because I break the news before the news even happen. And today we are looking at the transit of Venus into Gemini, because remember we have talked about this already in the previous videos, that tomorrow on the 26th, and perhaps I will be uploading this on the 26th, so maybe we can say today, I am not sure. But on the 26th, Venus officially gets into the Gemini sign. It will be joining Jupiter, that's already been here for some time now, since May, right? And so for this video, I will only be looking at the week of 26th until the 31st, because then on the 29th we will be having Mars entering into Virgo, and then I would like to make a separate video to properly look at that transit as well. So to accommodate just the entrance of Venus into Gemini, we're just going to look at this 1 week period. So from the 26th until the 31st of July. I have already made some predictions pertaining to these dates in my previous videos, but then obviously with this one I'm going to be going in deeper, remembering the transit of Mars as well on the 29th. So it's going to be a not a long video, but an efficient video nonetheless. So let's get into the detail. Click the link down below for any bookings, services, consultant work, anything that you want to be done for you. Click the link below and book now. So Venus is going to be joining Jupiter in the Gemini sign. First of all, just by Venus getting into Gemini, we sure do know that this is a happy sign for Venus, because this is a sign owned by Mercury. Mercury and Venus are friends, and so Venus, when it gets into the Gemini sign, it gets to explore the youthful life of Gemini. That means, remember, that Venus represents our relationships. It represents our spouses, regardless of the gender. It represents your spouse. It represents your resources, your comforts, and the things that you have, and women around you as well. Now, and the union itself, like the relationship, right? So when it gets to Gemini, it gets to enjoy the lighter side of life. So in relationships, we get to be playful, or we are forced to be playful at this time. We are forced to see our lovers and our partners as friends. We are forced to make jokes, to flirt, to just have a lighter side of life, because the Gemini sign is all about that. Definitely the conversations that are going to be shared here right now with this Venus in Gemini, they're going to be based on intellect. There's going to be different types of topics that people will be talking about in their relationships with their spouses. There's going to be gossip as well. In our partners, they want to gossip about the neighbor. They want to gossip about, the other couples. So there's going to be that jolly light vibe now. It's allowing partners to connect on a lighter level, on a just harmonious, playful way. Flirt with each other, invite friends over, go out with friends, visit places, your neighborhood. When was the last time you visited the museum close to you? You know, you go shopping together, you do all the errands together, you know, you just drive around the neighborhood, just sightseeing what you already know, because Gemini is about the neighborhood as well. We must remember that. So when Venus is here, all our romantic ventures get focused around what the Gemini represents. But we have a problem. What is the problem? The problem is that Gemini is also hosting Jupiter. Jupiter and Venus, you know, they have a respectful relationship but are not necessarily enjoying each other, particularly Jupiter, because Venus is neutral. Jupiter does not enjoy too much of the fleshy side of Venus. So Jupiter likes to keep things, you know, calm and wiser or reserved, whereas Venus is fleshy. Venus wants the YOLO life, the good life. So Jupiter here is already in a position whereby it had to kind of like demote itself, because it's being hosted by a child, by Mercury. This is Mercury's house. This is a playful house, and Jupiter is this wise man who has now to abide by the rules of the student. So now lots of gurus, like even in the real world, lots of gurus have had now to change their way of, you know, presenting themselves, you know, lower their standards a bit, you know, be more open, be more friendly, open their platforms to other people. It just show that friendly vibe, because that's what the Gemini is all about. And many of those who are stagnant or who are rigid or who don't want to change, they may be feeling a bit frustrated right now with the Jupiter and Gemini, because now they are demanded to show a side that they're not comfortable with, a side of, you know, looking goofy, a bit playful. And for them, it's like, what are we doing here, right? So now you bring Venus, and Venus also wants the good life, also wants to laugh, also wants to make jokes, you know, go out with friends, just have fun, share intellectual communications for sure. But these communications must have variety. Today we must gossip. Tomorrow we must talk about politics. The next day we must talk about economics. The other day we must talk about religion. Gemini is all about mixing all the topics into one. If you are, if your Venus is transiting or is in Gemini, you ought to be open to a whole lot of different topics, because that's what the sign is about. It is the media. It is the media, and media is diverse. Today they're reporting on politics. Tomorrow they're reporting on entertainment. The next day they're reporting on the economics. The other day they're reporting on whatever, right? Because as Gemini, very, very flexible in everything, open just to everything. This is why most of the relationships at this time must be aware, or partners must be aware, because there would be a lot of naivety coming in, because the Gemini sign sorry, that's my voice again, because the Gemini sign is a naive sign. So meaning that even if you are getting into a new relationship right now, you may be very naive and you miss all the red flags that you need to check out at this time. And particularly, there would be people who would be presenting themselves in a way that they're not. Because why? Jupiter is on the other side. It is not in a comfortable sign. It is just learning to adapt. So husbands and teachers and, people who guide us, people who have the direction, guide at this time may be lost even themselves, trying to adapt even themselves. And so if you find a partner, Venus meeting Jupiter at this time, this person could be appearing to you as an outgoing person. And then once Jupiter moves into Cancer, then you find out that, oh my gosh, actually this is a very serious person. This person likes to go to church. And I don't want to go to church. This person is so spiritual. What am I going to do? They really don't like to, play around. They like to be serious. They like to talk about philosophy. Oh my gosh, I missed the mark, because this is what is going to happen at this time. The people we meet for relationships, they are also trying to adapt right now because of the demands of Gemini from Jupiter. Even your mentor that you meet right now, could be seeming a bit very open, very friendly, and then once the Jupiter sign moves out of Gemini, in the long run, like next year, you find out that, oh my gosh, my mentor is actually very serious. I thought, he was friendly, she was friendly, but hey. Ooh, he doesn't even want to make jokes, this one. So be aware of that with this Venus right now getting into Gemini. And with this Jupiter, there would be expectations in our relationships, expectations for us to act in a certain way or to present ourselves in a certain way, all right? But again, it is due to the Jupiter that is making this aspect here with this Venus. But there is plenty of good news, benefit things that will happen. Number one, the doors of communication in our relationships are now wide open. If you have been feeling heavy regarding to what you need to say, you have been bottling up all the things that you wanted to say because of the Mercury in Cancer. Now you're going to be able to find harmonizing words to kind of take that out into a speech. However, most people will still hold on to the words and what's eating them right now. And I will explain more and more clearer when I'm doing the second video looking at the month of August. Now we must be careful because there would be passive aggression. Where is it coming from? It is coming from, one, the frustration of Jupiter being with Venus. Number two, it is coming from the frustration of Mercury being in Cancer, also being retrograde, because many people right now are reflecting on everything that's happened to them, or the people that have said things to them, and they're trying to assess this emotionally, like, my gosh, this person said this to me, said that to me, because Mercury retrograde, in a retrogression mode, makes us rethink and think too much and reflect and just wonder why this happened, right? So then it causes that passive aggression. Because remember, when we're talking about Cancer, we are talking about hidden emotions. Why are they hidden? Remember what represents the Cancer sign? We do remember, right? The shell, meaning that underneath the shell there is a lot of hidden things, hidden emotions, lots of secrets, lots of things that are left unsaid. Many things. Many things. Just like in the homes, right? People in their homes, when they clean, they don't move like the big furnitures every day. Maybe they do it every 3 days, right? But it's not every day when you clean, because they big, these are big furnitures, your refrigerator, your this, your that, right? So then on the 3rd day you move them and then you clean behind. It is exactly like that, because Cancer is the home. So some things, they are left unsaid, and because it is Mercury being here, guys, listen, because it is Mercury being in Cancer, it is frustrated, because Mercury is about communication, is about talking, speaking out or speaking up. And now it is forced to be in this water and to hide things that it doesn't want to hide, that it wants to talk about, but it has to abide by the rules of their house. This is why there would be a lot of passive aggression in our relationships. And what it also means is that, I'm going to explain even more deeper and further in my next video. For now, I just want to focus on the introduction, all right? So what also would be happening, there would be a lot of detachment. I'm building a story here. Why are we getting detached? Because Gemini sign again. What is this sign about? This sign is about air. Air is moving all over the place. Difficult to contain it, right? It is just moving flawlessly. You can't put it in a shape, transparent, just everywhere. So a lot of people in relationships right now would be detached, right? Because of their Gemini sign. Now, looking at these 6 days, because 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, well, that is 6 days, right? If you meet someone right now, just remember what I just spoke about. And if you are in a relationship, just remember what I spoke about. So if you are feeling a hindrance in your emotions on how you want to express things, remember why. Right, now that you know why. So on the 26th, tomorrow, and the 27th, these days, they bring a lot of wanting to talk, wanting to share secrets, and there is this bubbling of emotions within. But it also speaks about our relationships as well in general, that there is this authority in our relationship that is requiring us to speak out or to speak up. But because again of this bubbling of emotions, Mercury being in Cancer and retrograde, we may be reflecting too much. We may be talking too much within ourselves, too much alone. Even if the secrets are being shown right now, they're being exposed right now, but then for some reason there is still this fear that is coming through. But then we're going to be forced on this day, 26 and 27, to talk about things, and there's going to be blame. All right, so I see that there's going to be blame in our relationships right now, but at the same time, we must remember that when Mercury goes retrograde, it's fixing something. So it's making you be aware of what you missed, or maybe the information that was not revealed to you now becomes revealed. So you need to be awake right now. If something is said in a tone that you don't necessarily enjoy, emotional, two emotions, right? We're talking about Cancer, then you just must appreciate the information, like the light being shown on this issue. Now, some information also may come extremely quickly, like suddenly, that you did not expect it at this time. But then it also talks about there could also be troubles with transport that you did not expect on this day. So there could be maybe too much traffic. There could be some blockage, on the road, or cancellation of trips right now. And also there could be some issues within the homes right now that needs to be taken care of. It needs to be taken care of. 26, 27, you cannot ignore it. It is a responsibility. It is a duty. It must be done. It must be fixed. Maybe restructuring how things are done within the home as well right now. So I do see that. And I also do see that on the 26th and the 27th. Sorry, I think I might have been away from the mic. So I do see that on the 26th and the 27th, there is some feeling of somebody's watching me, or maybe you want to watch what's going on. Excuse me, my voice is leaving me. I'm gonna take a break. Sorry, my voice, you guys know by now, it just disappears. But anyway, and it's so interesting, when it comes to my voice, that I've never had this problem until I started to make predictions, like vocally, which for me, it's obviously told me something very incredible relating to my chart, that there's an activation that I did. Of course, I know what it is, but it's just so amazing how astrology works. Once you activate something in your chart, it will show. It's just interesting. But anyway, so 26, 27th, there's this feeling of you want to watch someone, you're not sure about what they're doing, what their motive is. So you want to see exactly what they're up to, or you being watched. People are watching you. They're watching your step. They really following you. Like, okay, what is she up to? What is he up to? right? So there's this feeling of being watched, and some people could be paranoid because of that at this time, these 2 dates. So there could be a lot of paranoia, like really feeling like, okay, somebody's watching me, or are you looking at my phone? If it's your spouse, are you looking at my phone? Are you checking what I'm doing? Are you, you don't trust me, and most of the time it would not be without a reason. It would be with a reason, because remember, Mercury is an analytical planet, and when it's in the water sign, yes, it is disturbed by the emotions because it's trying to analyze the emotions, but then it is also being shown by Sun in Cancer the information that it needs to see. So you may be seeing correctly at this time, even if you're feeling confused of what you are feeling, right? Like feeling like, okay, am I being too much in what I'm doing? Am I being too much in suspecting this person? And because of this, as I said, some people could just be withdrawing emotionally because they're trying to understand what is going on with me, or what is going on with this relationship, or with these people around me, or with these people that I connect with, I interact with, right? So there's a lot of analyzing the emotions, analyzing the vibe just around you on this date. But as I said, something must be fixed for sure, right? Now, who's going to have a problem here? Somebody who's rigid. Like naturally, if you are rigid, if you're too fixed, you're going to have maybe some upsetting time right now. But remember, when it comes to Venus, if it's in a relationship, it is in Gemini now. So you need to be a bit flexible. So you need to loosen up a bit right now, right? So I also do see that, there's a tendency to sacrifice, really like sacrifice in terms of what we're doing, for our families, for our children, even for our country, for those who are serving countries. Like there's a lot of wanting to just expand ourselves right now because of that Mars in Leo. So now, because of this, there could be, that feeling of, okay, I've done enough, I've done too much, I've done a lot, and I'm getting tired, so I need to escape. So you find that a lot of people could find escapism things, so whatever you choose, your type of thing that you use to escape. But because we're talking about Leo, Mars in Leo, this would be mostly about creativity. So a lot of people would be just throwing themselves into their creative projects, throwing themselves into fixing things for their kids, and just trying to escape from the work that they've done. Because remember now, Mars is getting ready for Virgo sign, right? And on top of that, with Venus in Gemini, the focus is also on young people, the youth. So definitely Mars here wants to be creative, wants to be playful as well, because it just wants to escape. I mean, there's been a lot of fighting, a lot of war, a lot of fire, a lot of boom, 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 and now it wants to escape, right? So, some people could be feeling a bit vulnerable as well at this time. So, because of just too much emotion, things have happened, and some people could be having memories because Mercury is retrograde. So people could be having some memories that are hurting at this time, or reminding them of, past times that were not nice, or past times that were really nice. So emotions are coming up. But What I also do see, which is important to note, is that, around the 27th particularly, or actually even like on the 26th really, that Venus here, it, because it's in Mrigashira nakshatra, where it's a really naive, as I said, lots of naivety, there could also be a hostile situation or aggression that comes out, or that is hurtful, because just jumping into relationships, or bottling up too much emotions could just go poof all at once, just like a volcano. All right, so just mind that in terms of relationships. And what else am I missing for these days? Yeah, so for these days, that's what I'm seeing, happening. And obviously in terms of the world, because I do enjoy looking at the world, what would be happening, I do see some news regarding Iran on the 26th or the 27th. So there would be some news. Maybe they have some communication that is regarding USA. I would say maybe definitely problematic. It's a problematic or is a communication about problems or about challenges. It could also be about death, not death, sorry, debt as in, a debt. And then it could also be just a case that needs to be taken care of. I also do see, when it comes to Iran at this time, that something relating to hierarchy, so something relating to the leader right now would be spoken, would be conveyed to us, or not to us, like to the world. Like there would be news regarding a leader at this time. So maybe a communication pertaining to leader or pertaining to leadership right now. And for some reason, as I said, the USA is involved or is attached, but it could also be attached in a covert way, whereby they're not in the forefront, like they are at the background. Or by the way, this is speculation. I am using astrology, so everything is speculation and alleged all the way through, right, for research purposes only. And I do see that it could also be relating, to this communication that they've been having regarding these nuclear things, nuclear sites, But some information is going to be communicated right now. And I do see that there could be a call regarding to authority or structure as well, that at this time is it needs to be restructured. Sorry, I take a long time because I am downloading in my head the information. Most of the time I can write notes, but I also receive, some information in my head as I'm looking at the chart. So I can write as many notes as I can, but most of the things, they arrive as I speak. So this is why I don't like to make predictions on live video, because I really just need to channel the messages as they come. So yeah, so that's it for these 2 days. I think but I also do see, hold on, I also do see maybe some news as well concerning Haiti or Ethiopia, obviously not connected, but then there could be some news to them regarding to them and their own leaderships and stuff. So Haiti and Ethiopia at this time, so they could also be having some news. And it's so interesting because when it comes to India, they've been having a lot of stuff, and I made specific predictions regarding to them, and all of those predictions, they came true regarding to the dates of the 18th until the 24th. So everything that he said, it just came true. So until the 25th actually. So when it comes to India, I do see obviously changes continuing on this day, 26, 27. So they are talking about they are, in fact, they are, I didn't even need a chart for this one. They are continuing to talk about, the leadership that's changing, as I predicted before it happened, that there would be leadership change. But they are communicating about that. They are talking about that. I do see for India on the 26th and the 27th, there is a lot of power play that is happening here. So the talks are really tough and emotional. They are really emotional, and there is underwork. What's underwork? There is a manipulation that is being played in terms of power plays here. So some people, they want a certain leader to be the vice president, for example, and then the other ones, they want this, and then so they're battling it out right now. So there's a lot of underground work that is being done, and so quietly. So some things are not going to be known until later on, and we're going to see properly when the certain is going forward again. This you're going to see. There's going to be news, definitely, but for now those communications are going on, and lots of information is being sent quietly to other people. Lots of emotions right now. And it's so funny because I do see so many changes when it comes to India. I do see many changes, and I do see that there could be changes as well in partnerships or in the people that they're working with, as the time goes. That's very clear, right? So when it comes to Israel and countries like this, like Israel, like Pakistan, like Tanzania, I do see obviously for this 26th, 27th, some continuation of whatever they've been doing. So they just continue whatever they've been doing. If they've been in war, they continue with the war, right? However, it's going to be interesting now because I do see that in the background there are talks now, and these talks are very diplomatic. So I would probably say for Israel, mostly for Israel, there are talks in the background right now on this 26th, 27th date. Okay, so there are people who want peace, so to speak, or who want this whole thing to end, and maybe it's diplomats of other countries, and they have a high chance now to be successful now. But obviously for the 26th and 27th, it's the talks, so they are talking right now. Okay, so that's what I see. And moving on to, Another thing that I do see for this week in terms of entertainment, I do see some news, as I said, regarding to King Charles. I do see some news within these days about him or from him. I also do see some news regarding to Beyonce or Jay-Z. So Beyonce and or Jay-Z in this week. So for them, mostly after the 27th, or maybe 28, 29, 30, 31, for the three people that I just mentioned, right? So not necessarily within the next 2 days, like 26, 27, but within the last 4 days, I do see some news coming through. And particularly when it comes to Beyonce, there could be news, if not directly from her, it would be maybe first started by her fans, her followers. So maybe they share something, or whatever, right? That becomes a trend or something, right? But yeah, so from that camp, I do see some news. And from the camp of King Charles, I do see some news as well. Like I already said in my past video, right? Let me take a break because my voice. So then following after that, I do see that because now, Mars is getting in the final stages of Leo now. So Mars is like, hey, I'm ready to leave the zone now of the king. I have done the great job for the king. I fought the good fight. And now I want to go and serve, right, in the Virgo sign. So around the 27th, 28th, maybe 29th as well, just before, like Mars is just like, hey, I must say my goodbyes now, goodbyes to get to, we've done a great job, friend. So when it comes to these dates, what I do see, is that there could be obviously that leftover anger, from the Leo sign and the Mars and the fighting. So there could be some, obviously, people still fighting, for their land. But then mostly the fight would be in communication, in words, right now. I also do see, following that, it's like the 27th is like the date of ending things and starting a new chapter. So this is how I'm seeing. It's like it's that line. It's that line that will really like show the future of the world or of our relationship. So that's what I see right now. And there's a lot of intuition heightened for a lot of people right now on this date. So on these dates. And I also do see that, when it comes to our love, like our relationships and partners, I do see that maybe at this time, we're trying to let go of the power that we've been holding on to as well, as Mars is also letting go of the Leo sign and the passion and fighting for our land, fighting for identity, fighting for ego, fighting for pride. We're letting go a bit. We're just relaxing, wearing the vibe of Gemini, of Venus in Gemini, starting to loosen up a bit, just loosen up a bit. So I do see that. I also do see that, at this time, there could be obviously always painful things because, Chiron is still in the Aries sign, as I'm looking at Mars is still in the Aries sign. So pain there is still felt by some people. It's not going to go anywhere. And what I do see happening is now some people could be feeling like, as I've done the job as Mars, I need to be isolated. I need to rest. I need to relax. So some people could be feeling like they need to isolate now in these days. They just need to be alone to think, to take decisions of what they're going to do next, And with some people, they could also be on the defensive side, whereby they feel like, I need to defend my stance, but I need to think about it. I need to dwell in my emotions. I need to dwell in my thoughts, gather my strategy of what I'm going to talk about, what I'm going to say, because I need to protect. So I need to protect my position, or I need to protect my children. I need to protect my country, but I need to think about it, right? So there's that thing happening. But at the same time, because Mars is loosening the Leo sign, as I said, so some people could be losing relevance as well. So relevance in what you're doing, relevance in your relationship, whereby, your partner could be finding somebody else more interesting. Because remember, Gemini sign is very curious. So when Venus gets to Gemini, it becomes curious. It wants to date other people. It gets attracted. It gets distracted. It just wants to, just play with everybody, right? So some people could be distracted in their relationships, or even if not about cheating, but just like wanting to be with friends, going out with friends. If you're rigid, as I said, for people who are rigid, they're the ones who are going to feel a bit of stagnation right now, or loss of relevance, like in your relationship. Because if you don't want to go out, then your partner, goes out with their friends, and just have fun, or they go out with their brothers or sisters or siblings just to go and have fun, right? So I do see that. And what else? Yeah, nothing much, that I see in terms of boom, boom, boom. But as I said, with those other countries, whatever they've been doing, they may continue with that for this week as well. But we're coming to an end right now, because the 27th marks a huge line in a lot of things coming to an end. Now, when we're looking at beyond that, so literally like the last few days of this month of July, right now, what I do see is that obviously Mars has come into Virgo. Mars comes here and be like, hey, okay, I see this work. Perfect, I'm gonna work. I'm not gonna be bored. I see there's a lot of analysis that needs to be done. Perfect, I can do that. I use logic. I can do that. So now in our relationships, you could find that our partners, they start to be overly critical of what we're doing, because Mars is sixth from Venus, and that's the debilitation position for Venus. So now you find that there's conflict now in our relationships out of the blue. Now all of a sudden, every small thing becomes a problem in this relationship, right? So I said house is not house, but sign. The Virgo becomes the debilitation sign for Venus. Something just, came into my mind now, so I must correct it now. So now all of a sudden now, they just being overcritical. They nitpicking everything. Everything is an argument. Ooh la la, too much stress. But at the same time, they're getting things done. They want to get things done. They want to get the work done. And if you are feeling like you're lazy or you're feeling like you want to play a bit, your partner here may say, no, there's no time to play, right? Because Venus in Gemini, as I said, wants to play. That's it, wants to have fun, wants to play. And so there could be problems like this whereby we don't necessarily agree now after Mars gets into Virgo in our relationships, whereby one person wants to do serious work, the other person wants to chill and relax and just have fun, right? And mostly, obviously, male people would be the ones who are ticked at this time because Mars represents male figures. So they would be ticked at this time, just annoyed, just easily turned off, right? So we do see that. And when it comes to just generally like the world, as I said, I like to look at the world, what's happening. I do see, unfortunately, for Israel. So Israel also maybe may make another attack, do another attack, or be attacked at this time. I also do see that maybe something again relating to their enemies, like Iran or whatever, right? They have many enemies, so it could be anyone really, right? So there could be an action there when it comes to Israel. I also do see that there could be a need to restructure. We must restructure, so a need to restructure for Israel. So there's a restructuring that's going to be required, and it's going to be forced actually, particularly when Saturn goes forward again, so around November, October. Is it November? Right. So at this time, so there's going to be a forceful thing that is going to happen, restructuring. But with Mars now getting into Virgo, it's going to fix that ground. So it's going to work, right? Because this is a worker, so it's going to work towards that. And then when it leaves this Virgo sign, it's going to have left a huge impact here that's going to be unforgettable, right? So I do see that. And when it comes to India at this time, they are going to be looking at maybe tech, something relating to tech. I mean, India is like the hub of tech, right? So something relating to tech, maybe something relating to engineering, all right? So at this time could also be coming up to shore. And even army, that's possible. Maybe army wanting to protect India. Why? Right? Why? Army wanting to protect India, or using tech or innovation in tech. Yes, that's highly likely. So there is an innovation in tech or how people work. So there is a new structure. There's a transformation. There is a new structure that I'm seeing for India. So it could be relating to how people work, or it could be even to daily life. Actually, it could also be relating to daily life. As I said, also army or fighting or enemies, right? So we need to see. So there's going to be that transformation. It's going to be a forced transformation. It's going to be a transformation that they cannot at this time they cannot go away from. But then obviously, as I said, I'm going to be looking deeper into August, and I'm going to be giving more details because yeah, there is a guide, there's someone guiding, or India is being looked at as the guiding one, like, or they being guided. And they do have a huge vision. So it could be really relating to tech. So there is a huge vision, or if it's war, then I mean it's still a vision that needs to be tackled. Something must be tackled. They're looking for something, or they're looking at someone. They must find something. There's a call to action. So I'm just downloading things in my head, information. So there is a call of action right now. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to zone in on India, like in detail, maybe a separate video for that, because that is interesting to me as I'm looking at it at the chart here. Yeah, what are they working towards? Something big, something so big, something so big. They're working towards that. In any case, so that's what I see when it comes to, the entrance of Venus into the Gemini sign. So all of these things are going to be required of us when it comes to our relationships. We're going to be required to, take care, because, with the Rahu as well in Aquarius, have fun, take care, and just, be aware that whoever you meet now, it could be, if you're single, it could be just, something that's, flying by, no strings attached, not too much seriousness right now, because if Venus in Gemini is playful, it becomes extremely playful, extremely flirtatious, right? So we just have to bear those type of things in mind. Something about South Africa as well on the 26th and the 27th. So some news relating to South Africa is going to come out regarding the governance of South Africa. So yeah. Looking at the world leaders, maybe. Okay, so 27th, 29th, I do see some news obviously about President Donald Trump. I do see news about Palestine, France. It's so interesting that Palestine and France, they just, France just recognized Palestine as a country that is legal. Some news, China, some news as well. Interesting. Well, I'll see you on the next one because there's so much interesting stuff that I'm seeing. I'll chat to you soon. I'm being to ciao.